Clemson's next quarterback is already running with the team and no need to go to the recruiting board. He's turning heads inside the building. We'll talk about it here on Locked On Clemson.
You are Locked On Clemson, your daily podcast on the Clemson Tigers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Tiger fans? Morgan Thomas here, Clemson fan, Clemson grad, host and producer of Locked On Clemson, part-time host and producer over on 105.5 FM The Roar. Thank you so much for making Locked On Clemson your first listen every day. We're part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And if you're new to the show, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe over on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts so that you can stay up to date on all of my exclusive Clemson content I put out every single weekday, Monday through Friday here on Locked On. You know how we do it. I appreciate everybody's love and support for the show so far. Please give us a good review if you love the show and follow us for sure. And if you want to listen to me or talk to me in between episodes, you can always do that over on X at The Morgan T Show, where I post my daily questions and comments about Clemson basketball, baseball, football, whatever it may be. An in-depth breakdown during football season as well. So pretty excited about that. This episode is brought to you by 5 Hour Energy. Head over to 5hourenergy.com to find over 15 flavors to choose from. Need one now? Grab a 5 Hour Energy at your local grocery or convenience store. Stock up today and stay energized. All right, today we're going to talk about Clemson's quarterback situation. And maybe just maybe they already have a quarterback on the roster. I know you're saying, Morgan, what are you talking about? Well, we will talk about it. And then also we'll get into the Clemson offense, what we can expect from tomorrow's spring game. Yeah, that's right. It is tomorrow. I can't believe it. It's already here. So I'm excited about it. And I know you are too. Hopefully a lot of you are going to go see the game and we'll be able to, comment back and let us know how you felt about it, coming up next week. And then also Brad Brownell. Let Brad Brownell cook. Let Portal Brad cook, because he is back in the game, and we're going to talk about the players that he has brought in. All right. But first, kind of want to talk about something that a lot of people don't really think that this is true, but maybe it is. And I want to entertain it just a little bit. Maybe, what if I told you that Clemson's next quarterback, the guy after Cade Klubnik, what if I told you that he was already on the team? What if I told you he was already practicing with the team and has a ton of reps with the first team? Would you be excited? Would you be shocked? Would you be doubtful? Maybe you'd feel all those things and more. But Clemson's next quarterback might not come from a big-time 5-star, 4-star recruit. Maybe he's already in the building. Maybe he's already getting first-team reps while Cade Klubnik and the coaches are preparing to obviously go into 2025 and go towards that national championship goal that they're probably going to have. They've also got to try to figure out how they're going to build the next wave of quarterback, because this is Cade's last season. And so they're needing to develop someone else to take Cade Klubnik's place once he's gone. Now, Cade has obviously done what he needs to do to be the best quarterback, one of the better quarterbacks in the country, and the best quarterback that Clemson can use in 2025. So there's no more of this back and forth about, what can or should Cade do, or what quarterback can or should Clemson go with. But Christopher Vezina is on the team, and he was recruited, highly recruited guy out of Alabama. And, we've seen him a few times, but we've never seen him really get a full-time shot at it. And now he's taking full drives with the first unit in practice. He connected on a touchdown in scrimmage. And a lot of the coaches are singing his praises. They're saying that he's stepping up big time in real game scenarios. And, I think that the team is going to possibly give him a little bit more of a chance to show what he can do. Now, obviously, Cade Klubnik is the number one guy, but this is where the spring game comes into play. Maybe this is an opportunity for Christopher Vezina to get the confidence that he needs and the timing down. Maybe we can see a little bit more from him because it seems as if he's earned it. And, he's showing some poise. He's showing some, the coaches are trusting him more. And I don't think that he's going to be the starter in 2025, but I do think that he is going to be able to kind of give a good push for some playing time, maybe in some cleanup duty for sure. But I do think that he is going to be able to kind of show, or at least kind of give us some entertainment in the spring game coming up. Now, I know there's probably some mixed feelings about Christopher Vezina because, he's been around for a while and, we really haven't seen a ton from him. But he is a very prepared player. He's been hanging around the staff and the team for a while now. So that he understands the playbook. He should be confident with what the coaches are going to call for him in different situations. And I feel like he's bought in. He hasn't transferred out. He embraced the opportunity to develop under Cade Klubnik. And I do feel like when you watch him on the sidelines, he's involved mentally in the game, even though he's not actually on the field. So can he ever prove that he actually belongs on the football field on Saturdays? That's kind of the big question that I would have for you, and I'd have for him as well. Do you believe that this is more than just maybe spring hype? Do you believe that maybe he actually has a chance to push Cade Klubnik? I know that that's kind of one thing that we really expected from him, was to come in and push Cade Klubnik to be even better. And it seemed to maybe happen, maybe not, right? When I talked about him as a recruit, I felt like this guy was exactly what Dabo Swinney wanted. I mean, when you look at all of the types of highlights he had, the type of offense he was running, the plays that he was running, to me, Christopher Vezina fit perfectly into what Clemson was going to do in the future and what they were already doing. Now, I know he hasn't started a real game, and that's why spring, to me, is very important for him. The last couple of spring games that we've seen him, he hasn't had the best, outcome, but that was all in the past. So he can continue to show us what he's learned, how he has developed and grown, and maybe lead the team even when nobody really counts him to do that. Now that he has his chance, can he make the most of it? Trent Pierman was that guy in 2024. Now, it didn't really work out for him to get any kind of reps at all, but maybe this could be Christopher Vezina's chance to play and to show some of the fan base what he can do without a lot of pressure. I think this will be the best opportunity of all, because, he's going to have a full offense. The way they're going to break it down is offense versus defense. They're not going to have two split teams this season in the spring game. So he's going to have all the offensive weapons that he needs to go out there and finally say, hey, you know what? I'm not playing with a bunch of scrambled up second, third, and first string guys. I'm playing with the best possible option, and I'm going to show you what I can do. Will he be able to rise to the occasion? Will we overhype it if he does? Yes, that's why I'm here. I am definitely here to overhype it. If Christopher Vezina has a huge spring game, I will overhype it just like I overhyped Trent Pierman. But quarterback development, is often rushed in today's college football world. In the portal happy, nature that we have built it, doing it the old school way, working your tail off behind the scenes when nobody's watching, continuing to stick with where you're at and what you're doing and the staff that you have around you, even when it's obvious you're not going to be the starter and you're not really challenging the starter. Christopher Vezina could be the kid next in line. He could be the next quarterback after Cade Klubnik in 2026. But he's going to have to start earning that opportunity too, right? We can't just give it to him. Dabo's definitely not just going to give it to him, and Garrett Riley can't either. No coach can afford to just give a player something like that, especially at this level of college football. Now, we don't have a lot of flashy things to say, but for me, I think that while there's not a lot on him to say, that I think that he is someone who is continuing to grind through, and he has potential there. He's obviously had a lot of opportunity to learn exactly how the staff wants an offense to be run. My biggest setback for him, or my biggest flaw for him, is that just the timing part of things. When you see him in the spring game, he just doesn't seem like he's on the right page with the snap count, with the drop back steps, with the timing of the routes, and with being able to read the defenses quickly. Has he been able to improve in those areas? That's my big number one question for him. Is Christopher Vezina, have you been able to improve in those areas? And only time will tell. And really, Saturday's spring game is going to be the first real look at if it will happen or not for him. And maybe it never does. But if it does, he could really make a name for himself and kind of start to show the coaches, you can trust me now, and I'm ready to get my shot at being the 2026 starter if he does well in tomorrow's spring game. All right. Coming up next, we're going to talk about why the spring game is our first real look at Clemson's offense and the future, and what they will be doing and what we need to be looking for. Life moves fast, especially when you have a family. One day you're watching your kids take their first steps, and before you know it, they're off to college. And that's why securing their future is so important. Fabric by Gerber Life makes it simple to get easy term life insurance that fits your family's needs. With Fabric, you can apply for term life insurance online right from your couch. You could even be covered in under 10 minutes, and in many cases, no health exam is required. As a parent myself, I want to make sure that my family is financially protected no matter what happens, and Fabric gives me that peace of mind. Join the thousands of parents who trust Fabric to help protect their families. Apply today in just minutes at meetfabric.com/lockedoncollege. That's meetfabric.com/lockedoncollege. Policies are issued by Western Southern Life Insurance Company. Not available in certain states. Prices subject to underwriting and health questions. This episode is also brought to you by Prize Picks. Baseball season is in full swing, and there's no better way to get in on the action than with Prize Picks, the best place for daily fantasy sports. With Prize Picks, you get to pick more or less on at least 2 player projections, and if you're right, you can win up to 1,000 times your cash. Whether it's strikeouts, RBIs, or first inning runs, Prize Picks keeps every game exciting. I always take advantage of the Taco Tuesday, where Prize Pick offers discounts on select player projections and even more value. Download the app today and use the code LOCKEDONCollege to get $50 off instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONCollege for $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. Now, we're not really worried about the final score in Clemson's spring game for sure. I mean, Dabo's got this really cool idea where the offense is going to be able to score points for different things, and the defense is going to be able to score points for different things. But the final score really, to me, means nothing at all. Really, this year's spring game is all about seeing what kind of baseline we're dealing with some of these players on the offensive side of the ball. It's not your typical spring game. The format has obviously changed, and it's much different than we're used to. Continuity on the offensive side is something that I think will be great. I'm going to be looking at a lot. I've given you a ton of players this week. If you haven't seen, go back and listen to the podcast, the previous shows. But they're not going to be any split squads, so you're going to be able to see some of the best players together. Cade Klubnik's going to play. He's going to be in rotation. Behind him, to me, what matters a lot, Chris Denson, Christopher Vezina, those guys, Trent Pierman, those guys, I'm curious to see what they're going to do in 2025 because, we've got to figure something out. If it's not going to be one of the guys that's already on the roster, then you're either talking about a transfer portal quarterback, which would be by far extremely shocking for Dabo to pick up a transfer portal quarterback off the street. I mean, I don't know, like after all the ups and downs we've had to deal with the transfer portal, that to me would be extremely shocking. I would probably lean more towards any other position before a quarterback ever gets taken in the transfer portal for Dabo. But it could happen. I mean, it's not that he hasn't done it. But I take that. I'm not saying it in that way that he's not going to do like transfer portal quarterback, but a starting transfer portal quarterback, that's a different thing for me. Some of these freshmen that are coming in, we've already talked about them as well. Gideon Davidson, I think, is everybody's circled number 9, and Braden Jacobs. You want to see how they're doing. There are a lot of those guys due to injuries in the spring have been fast tracked in a lot of ways. I'm curious to see how they're going to do. The continuity has to be there. You know, I want to see, and I mentioned this last year, I want to see some big explosive plays where it just seems like the offense got it together. I feel like they didn't do that last season, and it took Cade out of his rhythm. He couldn't get a rhythm in the spring game. He couldn't get anything going, and he seemed to really hit the struggle bus, and Trent Pierman outshined him on both sides of the ball because Trent Pierman played both sides. But I think that the biggest thing for me is I want to see Cade have some big plays, even if you have to tell Tom Allen and the defensive staff, hey, I need you to call a busted play here. I know it sounds kind of, little league to say that out loud, but in a lot of ways, I wouldn't mind seeing, the offense get a couple of easy ones here or there to where they can just light it up, make the fans happy, make the kids happy, and also kind of, stroke the ego for the offense, if you will. I don't want the offense to walk away like they did in the past. I don't want them to walk away thinking, you know what? We don't have it all together anymore. Or am I the starting quarterback or not? I don't want that. I don't want the national media to talk about the third string quarterback. And the wide receiver room as well. We mentioned that this week. It's finally starting to take shape and build itself back to wide receiver U. Clemson isn't hiding what they're trying to do here anymore. They're trying to get back to where they were. It kind of stinks to be on the top of the mountain and to fall down. But I think Dabo Swinney has done what he needs to do to build it back up. And this Saturday is going to be a kind of a little bit of an early glimpse into how Clemson has built themselves to get back into the national championship game. Garrett Riley is going to be under a microscope as well because, he's got a lot to prove that he can do things and take a team to the highest level outside of a Sonny Dykes team. Because what we see starting now is going to kind of build us towards the fall. Who does the staff trust? How do they use them? How often are they How often are they being used? And what about some of these new guys that are in the mix, like Tristan Smith? Is he really a guy who is going to be able to come in and show what he can do and make big time plays, or was he just an experiment that may not get a ton of time? Same thing with Adam Randall. How is he being used in the backfield? What does his patience look like? Is he able to be a threat in the passing game? Is he that versatile running back, wide receiver, flex guy that we think he can be? And then it goes also to chemistry. I don't think Cade had very good chemistry with the wide receivers and in the last year's spring game. But to me, there's no excuse in this year's spring game. Not just about personnel, but it's just about the fact that Garrett Riley, this is not his very first year, and it's not his second year. This is his third year where he can really kind of show that everything is working exactly the way he wanted. I think Clemson's in a rare situation for the spring because of how they're doing it. And I think because it's not televised and that they're going to have the team split, maybe you're going to see more than just vanilla. Yeah, I know that that's what you usually see, and you're probably going to see vanilla from defense as well. And if you're going to see vanilla from defense, then I want to see excellent execution. I want to see aggressive intent. I want to see what Garrett Riley can do to be able to prove to us that this offense is going to be the most explosive one we've seen. And we've built to this culmination of year 3 in a Garrett Riley offense that's going to be feared by other opponents. For the first time since Garrett Riley has arrived, I think that we finally have the most confidence possible. There's a true identity. There's a true trust there. There's experience there, and there's flexibility there. I think that true fans that are going to this game, you're going to have a lot of the casuals out there just kind of going through the motions, and they want the big plays. Hopefully for you as a Locked On Clemson fan, you're going to go out there with your notebook, and you're going to take some notes and see how they're doing and see how they're using these new players, seeing how they're attacking certain types of defenses. I want to know really a little bit of an early glimpse into what we're going to get with Clemson in the fall. Maybe we're not going to get that. Maybe I'm going to walk away disappointed, but I'm going to watch, and I'm going to be interested in it. I want to see where Clemson stands. And the biggest thing for me is I want to walk away with confidence in the starters. I don't think I really felt that way last season. I felt like there were more questions than answers. I don't want a ton of questions coming out of this one. I want to know that the guys that we are trusting to be the starters are there for a reason, and they're ready. You know, I know it's still April and it's still early, but this is where championships are won. And it could be preparation into this game. It could be focus into this game. But to me, it doesn't have to be super flashy as long as the execution is there. So I'm curious. I'm excited. I'm always love to see more Clemson football. So I hope that you can't wait as well. Hey, let me know what you think in between episodes over on X at The Morgan T Show. And you can also put, if you're listening to me or watching me over on YouTube, you can put in the comments as well. And I always, if you comment on a video that I create, I can guarantee you that I'm going to comment back, because that's just the way I am. I know that that I really appreciate all of you for just giving me the time and watching the show. So thank you so much. All right. We're going to wrap up the show talking about the hardwood now with Brad Brownell. Portal Brad. He is retooling the Clemson's front court one player at a time. And maybe, just maybe, Portal Brad is showing us that he can make an even better team for 2025-2026. Daylight savings snuck up on us again. And if you're feeling that lost hour of sleep, 5-Hour Energy has your back. The extra sunshine means more time for fun, but sometimes you need a little boost to power you through. Whether you're staying up late watching the NCAA tournament or squeezing in a round of golf after work or just trying to keep up with your busy day, 5-Hour Energy gives you that quick, refreshing pick-me-up whenever you need it. I've been staying up late watching these basketball tournament games, men's and women's, and 5-Hour Energy helps me keep going and stay up the next day. Head over to 5hourenergy.com to find over 15 flavors to choose from, including watermelon, blue raspberry, and peach mango. You can even build your own 12-pack or 24-pack delivered right to your door. Need one now? Grab a 5-Hour Energy shot at your local grocery or convenience store. They're everywhere. Stock up today and stay energized.
The NCAA tournament is here, and so is the Bracket Breakdown.
Locked On Podcast Network and Amazon Fire TV channels are teaming up to deliver NCAA tournament coverage like never before. Watch studio shows featuring former players and Locked On's local experts as they guide you through every upset, buzzer beater, and bracket matchup.
Stream it all for free on Amazon Fire TV channel. Search Bracket Breakdown to see it all for free.
It's your team every day.
Brad Brownell lost 4 starters, and we could be getting one back in Jaden Zachary, but he lost a ton of players to the transfer portal as well. And you know, there was a little bit of panic set in. They had 9 open positions, and they're starting to slowly fill those in because if one thing we can say that Brad Brownell is excellent at, and that is building a roster of guys that he feels like are great for him. And I have to agree, to be honest with you. Brad Brownell went in and got a couple of guys this past week. You that I think that are going to really be instant impact guys. And one guy that you remember via the portal. So 4 starters gone due to graduation. 1 maybe will come back in Jaden Zachary. We have Dylan Hunter also. And then you got a couple of guys that didn't play really last year, but they redshirted it, or they're freshmen and they're coming in as well. Instead, though, Brad Brownell acted fast. We thought he would act fast, but he brought in 3 ready-to-play guys that are going to come in and contribute early and often and probably be your starters to fill out your top 5. If we can get Jaden Zachary back and Dylan Hunter, you're getting Dylan Hunter as your point guard, but you've got Nick Davidson, which was the first one to come, and that was from Nevada, 15.8 points per game, 6.5 rebounds per game, 37.1 from 3, and he's like 6'8". So big man who can shoot the 3. Then you have Carter Welling from Utah Valley. I think he's about 6'10", 13.1 points per game, 6.3 rebounds, 1.8 blocks per game, and he was the WAC Defensive Player of the Year. So 2 big men to start us out that can put up a good amount of points in there. And both are guys that aren't selfish. They have a ton of rebounds as well throughout the game. So you can go high-low very easily with these guys. And RJ Godfrey. Now, you remember him because he was on Clemson and went to Georgia, and now he's coming back. He was a role player for the Bulldogs. Now he could potentially be a starter for Clemson. I say more often than not, he probably will be a starter for Clemson. 6.4 points per game, 3.8 rebounds per game, back in orange, and I think he's going to be ready to go. It sounds, I had a lot of rumors, a lot of friends of friends of friends who knew RJ, and it's been a long time coming. I think there was, some things that happened that caused him to try another team in the Georgia Bulldogs, but it seems as if his heart kind of came back to where he wanted to be, and that is Clemson. So I assume he'll finish out his career with the Clemson Tigers. Now, the front court to me is very versatile, very skilled, and very athletic, and maybe a little bit better than the one Clemson had during this season's run. So one of the best teams that Clemson has had as far as wins go, and in regular season wins, 27, and ACC wins in 18. But Davidson, Nick Davidson gives you a stretch 4 who can shoot the lights out and create a ton of mismatches. Welling gives you, that rim protector type guy, that gritty type guy. He's more of the Shefflin-Laughlin replacement rolled into one. And then RJ Godfrey, you already kind of know what you're getting from him. He's physical. He's very familiar with the Brad Brownell system. So there's just complete plug and play there. And he's got, now that SEC experience that everybody loves, right? So chemistry is going to take time. I get it. These guys are transfer portal guys, but that is the way that college basketball is now. You knew that this was going to happen. You knew that these guys were going to be leaving. Really, it was addition by subtraction, I told a friend. And I would say it on social media, and I've said it on social media, that I'm okay with the losses that they took. And I actually said, the whole starting lineup could be transfer portal players, and I'd be okay with that, because your best players were the ones that graduated, not the ones that transferred out. The ones that transferred out were guys that you really, they were given 30 freaking games and you couldn't trust them, So why panic over those guys? I'd rather have somebody new. If you've got somebody that you've known for multiple years and you can't trust them, thank you, but no thanks. See you later. I mean, it's time to find something else. In today's college basketball, it's easier than ever to get a breath of fresh air, start over, a clean canvas. RJ Godfrey did it. Now, it may not always be grass is greener on the other side, but from a pure talent perspective and a fit perspective, even though the chemistry is obviously not going to be there from day one, they'll work into that. Brad Brownell will get them going. He'll get the team working well together. And I think they fit well together. The front court is arguably better than this past season on paper already. So you have to go ahead and say that Brad Brownell, even though he has a ton of openings still left, because Davidson's bringing in his brother, so his younger brother. So you kind of like got a package deal there. So you actually got 3 transfers, but really 4 transfers there. So you needed 9. Now you only need 5. And those 5, because of what you have in your freshmen and your redshirt freshmen, those 5 maybe don't have to be guys that you're stressed out about paying a ton of money for to be starters, because these 3 guys that you brought in are definitely your guys that are going to be in rotation. As long as they can stay healthy, these are 3 guys. To me, I would envision Davidson, Welling, and Godfrey, and Hunter, and then one other person, and hopefully it'd be Jaden Zachary. And if not, you inject one of those freshmen in there, I think you'd be equal to, you're going to lose a lot of that leadership for sure. You're going to lose a lot of that experience. That's not there, definitely. But it's a different kind of experience from these guys, you know? So they're getting their opportunity. I think it'll end up being good for Clemson. And Brad, he cooked he cooked again in the transfer portal, really. You can have a lot of arguments about Brad Brownell, what you like and what you don't like. But one of those things that he does well is the transfer portal. Now he's not rebuilding, you know, he is just reloading. He has reloaded, and I think he's going to have to kind of fill in some final gaps there. But I wouldn't say that Brownell is just heavy portal reliant. I think he's just portal savvy. There's a big difference between just you have no other option and you just got to go get a bunch of portal guys. And that there was that feeling there at the very beginning as this started. But the difference is that Brad Brownell is going in and getting guys that he knows that is going to fit his system and exactly what he wants. And not just a cherry picking a handful of guys at the best prices possible, you know? If Clemson finds the right kind of guards to complement these 3 guys, and I think they do already have a lot of those, maybe they already have those pieces, you know, this could push Clemson right back into a postseason conversation. So I think hopefully the panic has died down a little bit for Clemson basketball, because what we're seeing now is Brad Brownell is just an absolute calculated killer when it comes to the transfer portal. He could be right back into the postseason and have another great season for the Clemson Tigers. Now, it's a long way away, but as we wind away from basketball and move into baseball, softball, and spring game tomorrow, it's nice to know that you can trust your coach, albeit he has a lot of frustrations. I get it. There's a lot of things you could be frustrated with him about, but you can trust him to do the right thing to build the team back up and get the right pieces in there. So pretty cool to see. All right. Hey, let me know what you think. If you're listening to the podcast, you can always reach out to me over on X at the Morgan T Show. You can follow me and talk to me and whatever. I'll do anything. I'll talk about anything over there, Clemson related, on X at the Morgan T Show in between episodes. And then also don't forget to follow or subscribe and hit the like button to help the algorithm out for YouTube and podcasts. I'd really appreciate all the love and support for everybody as well. And thank you so much for making Locked On Clemson your first listen of the day. For your second listen, check out Locked On College Basketball with Isaac Shade and Andy Patton. Be the most informed college basketball fan throughout the madness. Find Locked On College Basketball on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts. That's it. That's the end of the week. It's Friday, everybody. I'll see you next week, and I'll see you, Tiger fans, at the top of the hill.